tonight, I have a very big gag order on me from the lawyers and the judges. For the lawyers and the judges. I have hired and fired probably 8 attorneys. When you get older, you get wiser. You can only lie so many times, and then it's over. I lost Neil, my husband of 13 years. He was the love of my life. It wasn't my first marriage, so it was love at first sight. I want everybody to remember one thing: never say never. Because I was introduced by a friend, and we don't have time to talk about it, but I thought he was playing a joke on me. So I stood this man up for 1 hour, thinking, you know, he's just playing a joke. I turned the opposite way to my right instead of getting out of the car the right way, and I dreaded looking at him. I couldn't believe what I saw standing there. He was perfect for me. I wished I'd met him years before. We were married 13 years. It would have been 20 years today, or in July. See, and I can't talk about what has happened. If anybody has ever looked up what I've done, why they have put a gag order on me, the open letter to the president. Has anybody ever read the open letter to the president? I want to say so much, and I can't, because they have forbidden me.
again, it's Mike Barry at Insurance Information Institute TV, and I've got with me Kenneth Feinberg, who is the author of the just published Who Gets What. And first off, welcome, Kenneth. Glad you made some time to be with us. A lot of interesting input here, and let me first show our viewers the cover of the book. It's coming out nationally tomorrow, June 26th. Who Gets What? And Kenneth Feinberg is probably going to be a very familiar face to a lot of our viewers as the Special Master for 9/11 and also on the Gulf Coast Claims Facility. But I think we're based in New York and we're not far from 9/11. So where were you on 9/11?
9/11, I was teaching a class at the University of Pennsylvania Law School in Philadelphia.
Okay. And
I came out of the class at around 9 a.m. It was an early a.m. class. And I saw in the student union, everybody watching TV. I thought it was an errant plane that had hit the building. I got as far on the train coming back to Washington. I got as far as Wilmington, Delaware, when the other plane hit the Pentagon. That was it. From Wilmington, a group of us just hired a taxi to drive back to Washington. The trains were shut down.
That's incredible. And then I know you go into the book how then Attorney General Ashcroft got you involved. So give me the timeline on this. There's 9/11, then Congress creates the 9/11 Victims Compensation Fund, and then you're called into the process about when? A couple weeks later?
6 to 8 weeks later. The 9/11 Victim Compensation Fund was created by Congress 11 days after 9/11, and within a period of 6 to 8 weeks, I was retained by the United States, by Attorney General Ashcroft, to design and administer the program.
And I think in the book what you convey really quite well is that people were well, first off, there was a couple of things. From an insurance perspective, the airlines were capped out their liability, their insurance policy up to $6 billion.
That's correct.
So the concern, of course, in Congress and elsewhere was, well, $6 billion going to cover it? But I think the other thing that was interesting is that you really, not you personally, but the Congress basically had an open-ended checkbook. There was not a set
That's right. There was no appropriated amount of funds.
Right.
Congress, uncertain of how much money would be needed to convince people not to sue,
right,
left it open-ended and delegated that unfettered discretion largely to me to design and administer a program. The goal being, how do we attract, entice people, the dead, the injured, families of the dead, not to litigate against the airlines, but instead come into this fund, waive their right to sue, and take the money.
And if I remember correctly, the number was something like 94-95% opted into this.
98%, almost 98%.
Okay, so this was a big success, and I think some of the more heartfelt passages is not the 900, I believe, some odd people opted into the personal meetings with you. I mean, for 3 years, you're living and breathing this. This had to be unbelievably taxing on you.
It was unbelievably stressful. We felt it important to give any individual claimant who wanted the opportunity to come and see me to do so. You didn't have to. Half the people wanted nothing to do with the hearings, but the other half wanted to come in, and they rarely talked about money. They came to sort of vent about life's unfairness and validate the memory of a lost loved one.
And then there was one anecdote, and I'm sure a lot of the media is picking up on it. Some family secrets spilled out. There was one in particular that comes to mind. Well, go ahead. Why don't you share?
No, one woman came to see me and was sobbing about how her husband had died, and he was Mr. Mom and had been home. And she said she'd never be the same. And the next day, a lawyer called me and said she doesn't know that her husband has 2 other children by his girlfriend in Queens. We had to decide whether to tell her about this. We didn't tell her. We cut 2 checks.
And I'm going to leave 9/11 in a second, but one thing that struck me is you said you didn't think that the federal government should ever wade into this type of scenario again. You still believe that?
I believe that. I have 2 problems with 9/11. I think it worked. It was very successful. It was the right thing to do at the time. But bad things happen to good people every day in this country, and there's not public taxpayer money to compensate. There was no 9/11 fund for Oklahoma City. There was no 9/11 fund for Hurricane Katrina victims. So there's a philosophic problem I've got with singling out for special treatment just some people. The other problem, of course, is in the 9/11 fund, everybody got a different amount of money in order to attract people out of the litigation system. Well, you know, everybody counts other people's money. You learn that in this, what I do. Everybody counts other people's money, and it promotes tremendous animosity and divisiveness among the very people you're trying to help. So if you're going to do it again, Congress, give everybody a flat amount like we did in Virginia Tech, and let them walk away without waiting their